Picture this. You walk into Best Buy, Walmart, or Costco on a Saturday afternoon. The store is loud, the lights are bright, and right there in front of you is a wall of giant televisions. We're talking 65, 75, even 85-inch screens, all glowing with the most gorgeous footage you've ever seen. Mountain landscapes with every leaf in focus. Sports replays so sharp you can see the sweat. And right there on the price tag, one word that makes it feel like you're buying the future: 8K. And your brain just goes, yeah, that's the one. But here's what nobody tells you before you hand over your credit card. That TV you're drooling over? It was designed to look incredible in that store, under those lights, playing that specific demo footage on loop. The second you get it home, strap it to your wall, and try to watch an actual movie or a football game or even a Netflix show, reality hits. And it hits hard. See, retailers have a whole playbook for this. They stock exclusive model numbers, TVS. You literally cannot compare online because they only exist in that store. They ship units with cut-down specs, fewer HDMI ports than the flagship, weaker built-in speakers, downgraded panels that don't tell the full story. And they crank the demo mode brightness so high that any TV in any store looks like it belongs in a cinema. But at home? The bloom around bright objects, the murky black levels, the aggressive dimming that pulses when a scene gets dark, all of that shows up. And the biggest trap of all? There is almost no real 8K content to watch. You are paying a massive premium for a resolution that your streaming service, your Blu-ray player, and your cable box cannot even deliver. So today, we are ranking 12 major 8K TV models that you will actually find at the biggest retailers in the US. We are going from the absolute worst traps all the way up to the ones that are at least worth a conversation. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to buy and what to walk right past. Let's go. Number 12. Sharp SKUs 8K. We are starting at the very bottom, and honestly, this one earns it. You have probably seen Sharp 8K sets floating around Amazon reseller listings or popping up at off-brand electronics stores. The box looks legit. The spec sheet throws around big numbers. And for a moment, you might think you found a deal that the big guys missed. You did not find a deal. The Sharp SKUs 8K is running on outdated LCD panel technology that simply cannot hit the HDR standards that modern content, even 4K content, actually demands. High dynamic range is not just a checkbox on a spec sheet. It requires the panel to get genuinely, seriously bright in the highlights while holding deep, convincing blacks at the same time. This panel cannot do both. It struggles to do either. The contrast is weak. Dark scenes look gray and flat instead of deep and cinematic. And the smart TV operating system is slow and clunky in a way that will remind you of a smartphone you owned in 2015. It freezes, it lags, and the app selection is not great. And here is the part that should make you close the browser tab immediately. The price is still high. You are not getting a budget TV. You are paying real money for a panel that most serious reviewers would not recommend even at half the price. People who bought this one came back frustrated. Poor brightness, outdated platform, and the lingering feeling that they got played. Verdict: looks impressive on the spec sheet, but on your wall? Total disappointment. Next up, a budget 8K that is cheaper, but honestly, not much better. Number 11, Hisense U80H/ULED 8K. Hisense has been on a serious run in the 4K space. They make some genuinely competitive sets at Walmart price points, and a lot of budget shoppers have started trusting the brand. So when Hisense dropped an 8K option, people got excited. And look, we get it. The panel is bright. You put it in a demo environment, and it punches. Hisense knows how to build a bright TV, and the ULED backlight technology does solid work. But brightness alone does not make a great picture. Local dimming, the system that controls which zones of the screen light up and which stay dark, is mediocre on this set. You end up with blooming around bright objects on dark backgrounds. A lamp in a dark room looks like it has a glowing halo around it. A spaceship in a black sky bleeds light in ways that pull you right out of the movie. And then there are the reliability concerns. Panel uniformity is inconsistent enough that multiple buyers have reported visible patches or uneven brightness across the screen. That is not something you want to discover after the return window closes. Verdict: affordable 8K, in quotes, and still a trap. Number 10. TCL X925 Pro. Now we are starting to move into territory where at least you can see what you are paying for. TCL has gotten genuinely good at mini LED technology. The X925 Pro has real brightness, a solid mini LED backlight, and Google TV integration that works well. The upscaling, the process that takes 4K or even HD content and processes it up toward 8K resolution, is decent. It is not magic, but it handles normal content with less of the artificial, over-sharpened look that cheaper processors create. Compared to Samsung's 8K lineup at similar price points, TCL does offer real value. That is not nothing. But here's the honest conversation. This TV is overpriced compared to what TCL's own 4K lineup can deliver. For the difference in cost between this 8K model and a premium TCL 4K set, you are buying almost nothing in terms of actual watchable improvement. The content is not there. The resolution advantage disappears at normal viewing distances, and you are paying a significant premium for a number on the box. Verdict: a bit better. Still unnecessary at this price. Number 9. LG QNED99. LG built their reputation on OLED technology, and for good reason. But the QNED99 is not OLED. It is a mini LED LCD panel. And while it does a lot of things right, it constantly reminds you that it is living in the shadow of LG's own better technology. Color performance is genuinely good. The quantum dot layer adds real vibrancy, and color accuracy holds up better than a lot of the competition in this tier. WebOS, LG's smart TV platform, remains one of the most responsive and cleanly designed systems on the market. It is fast, it makes sense, and it gets out of your way. For the price, which sits in the mid-range of the 8K market, you are getting a capable TV. But you are also getting constant reminders that LG makes better panels than this one, and they cost about the same. Verdict: decent, but overshadowed by OLED technology. Number 8. Samsung QN800D. This is where Samsung enters the list, and it is not a flattering entry. The QN800D is Samsung's starting point in their 8K lineup. Think of it as the welcome mat before you get to the real house. The mini LED backlight is there. The 8K processor is there. But Samsung made decisions on this model that show exactly where they cut corners to hit a price point. The local dimming zone count is lower than the higher-tier Samsung models. In practice, that means dark scenes have more visible blooming, those halos of light bleeding around bright objects that the better dimming systems control much more precisely. You notice it in movies. You notice it in gaming. You notice it anytime the screen has a bright object against a dark background, which is, most of the time. This TV sits at roughly $2,500 to $3,500 depending on size and where you catch it. That is serious money. And at that price, you are essentially buying a premium-sounding brand name and a resolution your content cannot use, while sacrificing the picture quality controls that make dark scenes look right. Verdict: you pay for the resolution number, but you lose flagship quality in the process. Number 7. Samsung QN800C. The QN800C is the previous generation version of the entry-level Samsung 8K, and it shares most of the same problems. The dimming zone count is again on the lower end, which means blooming is a real and persistent issue in dark content. What this TV does better is gaming performance. Input lag is low, refresh rates are solid, and if you are a gamer who also wants the biggest, shiniest number on your television, this one at least delivers something tangible in return. It looks great under Best Buy lighting. It really does. The demo footage is optimized, the brightness is cranked, and the picture pops. At home, on your couch, watching the things you actually watch, different story. Verdict. Looks great in the store lights, not on your wall. We are halfway through, and the traps just keep stacking up. Let's take a second because this stuff matters. Retailers are not evil, but the system they operate in pushes them towards selling you the upgrade, not the right purchase. Exclusive model numbers make it nearly impossible to comparison shop. Spec bumps that sound meaningful, 8K resolution, higher refresh rate numbers, AI processing, get plastered on marketing materials, while the things that actually determine picture quality, like dimming zone counts and panel calibration, stay buried in the fine print. And even when prices drop, that does not automatically mean you found a good deal. A price cut on a TV with weak local dimming and no Dolby Vision support is still a bad deal at the lower price. You are still buying the wrong thing just for less money. If this already saved you from a bad 8K deal, hit subscribe. The next 6 might shock you. Number 6. LG OLED Z3. And now the conversation changes. Everything below this point on the list was dealing in compromises. The Z3 is not a compromised TV. It is one of the most technically advanced consumer displays you can buy, and the image quality it produces is in a different league from anything we have discussed so far. OLED technology means every single pixel generates its own light and can turn itself completely off. That gives you black levels that are not just deep, they are perfect. There is no blooming. There is no halo effect. A white dot on a black background looks exactly like a white dot on a black background, with nothing bleeding around it. Shadow detail in dark scenes is preserved in ways that LCD technology, regardless of how many dimming zones you add, simply cannot replicate. The Z3 is LG's 8K OLED flagship, and it carries itself with confidence. But then, you see the price. $8,000 and up, depending on the size. And that number forces a very honest question. What are you actually buying? For that premium over a great 4K OLED? Because content-wise, the answer is still not much. You are paying for the resolution ceiling, not the resolution floor. Verdict: incredible image quality. Genuinely, seriously expensive. Number 5. Samsung QN900D. We are back in Samsung territory, and this is where the brand starts showing what it can actually do when it is not cutting corners. The QN900D is Samsung's current flagship 8K, and the brightness numbers are legitimately impressive. This TV gets seriously, powerfully bright enough that HDR highlights and daylight viewing conditions pop in ways that OLED panels cannot match. Samsung's mini LED backlight with a high zone count delivers much better control than the entry-level models, and the 8K upscaling processor is one of the best in the business at making 4K and even lower resolution content look sharp and natural. Gaming performance is strong. Motion handling is clean. The build quality feels premium. And then Tizen, Samsung's smart TV operating system, keeps inserting ads into the home screen, into the content guide. A TV that costs this much should not be showing you sponsored content while you are trying to find something to watch. It is a small thing until it is not. And for a lot of buyers, it becomes a daily irritation. But the core problem remains. This television's headline feature, 8K resolution, is nearly useless in any real-world setup today. The processing power and display engineering here are technically excellent. They are just aimed at a target that does not exist yet. Verdict: technically excellent, but mostly pointless until the content catches up. Number 4, Samsung QN900F. The QN900F is the next generation step up in Samsung's lineup, and it pushes the brightness and backlight control even further. Mini LED dimming zones are more plentiful here, which means dark scenes look noticeably better than on the lower Samsung tiers. Bright scenes are almost aggressively luminous in the best possible way for HDR content, and Samsung's upscaling algorithm has gotten even more refined, doing a more convincing job of making non-8K content presentable on the panel. This is a serious display. There is no debate about that. The absence of Dolby Vision support remains a meaningful gap. Dolby Vision is one of the 2 dominant HDR formats, and a lot of premium streaming content is graded and delivered in Dolby Vision. Samsung has their own HDR10 Plus format, and while it is capable, it does not have the same breadth of content mastered specifically for it. You are buying a flagship TV that is incompatible with a significant chunk of the best-looking content available. Verdict: overpriced, but a genuinely strong display. Number 3, Samsung QN990F. Samsung's absolute top-tier 8K offering, and it is something to see. The brightness on this set reaches levels that make demo rooms feel like cinema theaters. The dimming zone count is at the top of what Mini LED technology currently offers, and the precision of that backlight control means blooming is nearly eliminated even in demanding dark scenes. The AI upscaling has enough processing horsepower that lower resolution content gets a genuinely impressive treatment. Not perfect, but remarkably convincing. If you want to walk someone into a room and make their jaw drop at what a television can look like, this is the TV you put on the wall. But the real-world ownership math starts to sting after the wow factor fades. Repair costs on flagship Samsung sets are significant. If something goes wrong outside of warranty, a panel issue, a backlight problem, the service estimates can approach the cost of a newer television. Extended warranties start looking like mandatory purchases rather than optional upsells. And the fundamental issue has not changed. You are buying a demo room monster. In daily life, watching the content that actually exists, the 8K advantage delivers almost nothing. Verdict: a demo room monster and still a ripoff for normal everyday use. The pace slows down here because these 3 deserve a more careful conversation. They are not perfect purchases, but they are the 8K TVs that at least justify the discussion. Number 2, Samsung QN900C. The previous generation Samsung flagship, and in a way, the most practical recommendation on this entire list, with one very important condition. The QN900C delivered flagship-level brightness, strong color performance, excellent upscaling, and one of the most refined Mini LED backlight systems Samsung has produced. When it launched, it was Samsung's statement piece, and the statement was convincing. What makes it worth considering now is the price. As the 900D and 990F have come to market, the 900C has seen significant discounts from retailers clearing inventory, and at a meaningfully reduced price. The math of this purchase starts to make more sense. You are still buying a TV whose primary feature is underutilized, but you are at least getting a genuinely excellent display at a price that reflects its real-world usefulness better than launch pricing ever did. The performance here is strong across brightness, color volume, motion handling, and gaming. WebOS is not on this one. Samsung runs Tizen. But the ad situation is manageable if you are coming in with adjusted expectations. Verdict: the only strong buy on this list, and only if you catch it on a genuine sale. Number 1. LG OLED Z3. We already met the Z3 earlier in this list, But it earns the top spot because when you talk purely about image quality, the actual fundamental experience of watching something on the screen, nothing else on this list touches it. Perfect black levels are not a marketing phrase when it comes to OLED. They are a technical reality. Every pixel turns off completely, which means the contrast between the darkest part of a scene and the brightest is essentially infinite. Watching a well-mastered film on the Z3 in a dark room is a different experience from watching it on any LCD panel, regardless of how many dimming zones that LCD has. Color accuracy at the top of LG's OLED calibration is exceptional. WebOS remains one of the smartest, fastest, most user-friendly smart TV platforms available. And LG's track record on software support, pushing updates and new features to their TVs for multiple years after purchase, gives this television genuine longevity. The price is real, and it is substantial. If $8,000 or more is not a number you can absorb without serious consideration, this TV is not for you, and there is nothing wrong with that. There are 4K OLED options that deliver 90% of this experience for a fraction of the cost. But if you are committed to owning the best 8K television that money can buy right now, this is it. Not because of the 8K resolution, which still has almost no real content to display it, but because the OLED panel underneath that 8K resolution is simply the finest consumer display technology available. Verdict: the image quality champion of this entire list. Just be ready for the price. Let's land this plane. The bottom tier, numbers 12 through 8, are the ones you walk past. Sharp, Hisense, TCL at full price, LG's QNED, and Samsung's entry-level 8K. All of them are asking you to pay a premium for a resolution you cannot use, while quietly delivering compromised picture quality in the areas that actually matter day to day. These are the TVs that win in store lighting and lose on your wall. The middle tier, numbers 7 through 4, are better built, but still face the same content problem. The Samsung QN800C, the OLED Z3 at number 6, the QN900D, and the QN900F all have genuine engineering behind them. But the case for buying any of them at full price over a premium 4K alternative is hard to make with a straight face right now. The top 3, Sony Z9K, Samsung QN900C on sale, and LG OLED Z3, are technically excellent televisions. They are the 8K sets that at least deliver on the display quality side of the promise, even when the content side is still catching up. The main takeaway is this: Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon are not out to get you. They are selling what the market offers. The problem is that the 8K market right now is built more around selling you a number than delivering a proportional upgrade in your daily viewing life. Knowing what the compromises are, where the spec cuts happen, and which models at least give you something real for the money, that is what keeps your wallet intact and your living room honest. Drop a comment below. Tell me which TV you are looking at right now, and I will tell you whether it is worth it or whether you should keep your money. And if this video saved you from a decision you would have regretted, subscribe because we do this kind of breakdown every week, and the next one might save you even more.